It's perfectly fine. I didn't know that you guys hopped into it, by the way, because I've been on Battle.net all this time. But that's all right. I've got the preview monitor. Apparently, we're just going to go ahead and hop into our very first series of the day, and I've got a lot of things to talk about. I'm pumped for this one. Both players, 2 wins and 2 losses in the Swiss format. Bottom left side of this important game on Hecate, it's Haas.
And in the upper right, in the red, the surprising participant in this round 5 matchup. His name is Coffee.
I want to go back quickly to what you said. Coffee didn't just make it into the finals last year, or not even last year, right? Like we're talking 4 or 5 months ago when we did the summer regionals. Coffee made it into the grand finals while looking damn good, like legitimately just looking as the second best player in this region. And even in those finals, he put up a bit of a fight against Oliveira. We came in with somewhat low expectations. A, it's the best of 7 TVT, and you never want to get too overly excited for those because they can disappoint. And B, we thought Oliveira is just going to be a little bit too good, right? Well, in the end he was, but Coffee took the 1-0 lead and actually looked pretty promising in game 2 for a little while as well. So there was hype. It definitely wasn't a bad finals. Overall, I just came into this season with the idea of Coffee is at the bare minimum gonna make top 4 in this region. Now instead, he finds himself here in a qualifying match of the Swiss format, play day 5. And you know what's even more bizarre, Bio? In his entire career, he has played 4 times against Haas. He lost all 4. He is 0-4 in series. So what a moment. What a way to actually kick off this day.
Yeah, a lot of history there, and it's interesting. You talked about Haas is absolutely this player that can macro, but he'll proxy more often than not. Yesterday, to get to this final match, because Haas was 1-2, he proxy stargated, proxy gated. It was a 3-gate proxy stargate type of play. Against Orianna twice in a row, he wins twice in a row, but they were not clean games, Roddy. They were really weird. Orianna definitely made several mistakes that he probably shouldn't have. I think game 2, he ended up banking 1,000 gas that he just had no use for. But we're not seeing that in this game. Haas is, at least in game number 1, he's not going to proxy the Stargate. He's not going to proxy a Gateway. But he is going to try to take this rich gold base, or the 50% gold base. The problem is, Coffee sees it immediately, Roddy.
That is kind of weird, and that's definitely problematic. I like the idea of opening up with a Hellion, because you don't even need too many Hellions to cause big issues for a Protoss when they open up like this. I find this an absolutely crazy way to start off for Haas. It could have been that he did this with the idea, I hope it doesn't get scouted too quickly. This Reaper, by the way, is very annoying, and I wonder where that Hellion is going, because we don't have a shield battery here yet, so even a single Hellion, if it gets a couple of shots off. But I have the feeling that Haas wants to fake a 1 base all-in, and then instead be like, oh, surprise, I've got a base. He's going to give me slightly more money than a usual base would do. I don't think it was part of the plan for Coffee to scout this that quickly, and Haas is even forced to use battery overcharge this early on in his main base.
Yeah, at least the Hellion is only a single one, and it's not doing any actual hull damage to the probes, which is why the shield battery overcharge had to get popped there. So at least Haas doesn't take any damage yet. And of course, behind this, 2 more gateways, adding a robo. This is just a wild 4-gate blink, as I guess how we're going to talk about it. But the Hellion being annoying, trying to find some probes. And I love what Coffee's doing behind this. He knows that the main base and I guess we can call this the natural, are so far apart from each other as a probe will fall, that it's going to be nigh impossible for Haas to defend this, even if he has an observer. So cloak Banshees. Make sure you get that damage down. But man, this pylon from Haas, this vision he has, it means that he saw the Banshee. He should theoretically be able to defend.
Yeah, but even if you know that Marine Tank Banshee is coming, like in a weird way, this brings us back a tiny bit to the very early days of StarCraft 2. Wings of Liberty, and the name of the game was very simple. Terran would do 1-1-1. 1 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport. They pull SCVs and they try to win, right? This is how every single PvT in Wings of Liberty went for almost 2 years straight. And we would praise the ability of the Terrans to go for the 1 base all in, and we were always so impressed. Wow, beautiful execution. This is kind of the same, but then instead it's going to turn into, all right, obviously we both have 2 bases, but I think the idea is very simple. Coffee is going to try to end this game early, unless he just feels that maybe it's not the right moment to push out, and then Haas will most likely be the one who's just going to shove down a crazy amount of basic gateway units down the throat of Coffee, as that Banshee is going to take a lot of damage, but it does live for now. With killing 6 probes early, I actually think that Coffee doesn't need to attack, but I still don't hate the idea of just attacking with Marine Tank Banshee, because as long as you don't have a crazy amount of Zealots, what are you possibly going to do against a Terran that will put pressure on you early on?
This is wild from Haas as well here. He went blink, right? He got a couple gateways, so he's actually on 3 gates, not 4. But he's getting really quick charge behind this. And you know, Roddy, this makes sense. You have a gold base. You go for something like that. And he only built a single observer. I don't quite know why, but he had the observer on the right side. That's getting damaged. The Banshee's here as well.
Oh,
and
no.
you know, I hate to say it, but Haas is starting to feel kind of dead here. These Banshees are getting so... It's 10 dead probes. I think it was 6 early on. And yeah, shield battery overcharged the main base is popped. Now, yeah, finally we had a second observer chronoed out, but I mean, this is 11 probes. Haas, he's gonna take another base, but it's not looking the easiest, Roddy.
I will agree with you that this is obviously a terrible start, and no Protoss ever wants to be down 7 workers against the Terran, especially when you don't have a big tech advantage. But I still think games like this, it's a little bit too early to call it, because if Coffee has a misread, or if Haas gets a great engagement with a bunch of Zealots, a Guardian Shield can make up for your upgrade deficit. It's a large map, you can maybe base trade a little bit, so I don't want to totally go on the train yet that Haas has no way of winning this game. But I am sure that he imagined a very, very different start. He simply took way too much damage against a couple of Banshees here.
Yeah, and honestly, part of it was just really nice timing on the Banshees. The first Banshee flew in a second time before the shield battery was done, so was able to punch through with a single Banshee. In the main base, was able to kind of hit the edge, and you actually can kill probes through a shield battery anyways, so he was able to make that happen before there was a warp in, because again, only a single observer. And now, Coffee, you're right. You know, Roddy, you said you don't feel like he needs to attack. Well, he has the same read. He's got a third base on the way. He feels like he's done enough damage. And I mean, let's be real, Roddy. This is Haas. Given the option between who's going to attack, it probably will be our Protoss player. But even that, there's a Robo Bay on the way. Haas, somehow we're finding our way. I guess this is a macro game now, technically.
Sort of, but it's very weird, right? Because the bases are all over the shop. Hey, if we get a cancel, by the way, as that was perhaps not the best place to drop your third command center. That's an easy cancel for Haas, and that completely changes the dynamic of this game a little bit, right? Where Coffee was probably completely fine with chilling. Now suddenly, I think there is a little more urgency on his side to make something happen. Can we just wait until we rebuild a 30C? Sure, but I mean, with that Robo Bay online, first Colossus on the production tab, not something I see ultra often from Haas. It's kind of up to Coffee to do a little more, because killing all these probes early on is great. If you then don't have a follow-up for the next 4 or 5 minutes, yeah, that advantage is going to disappear real quick. So that double drop needs to get some damage done.
It's funny looking at the resources lost as well. So first of all, they're very equal, but you look at the units that have died, it's a bunch of probes and just about nothing else for Haas. Meanwhile, Coffee's lost 3 Banshees. He's lost Marines, Hellions, Reapers. So from that perspective, at least when we talk about value lost, Coffee's lost a lot more gas. And in a game of StarCraft, gas tends to dominate what you want to do. It allows you to do things. So from that perspective, actually, Haas is in a pretty solid spot. He's got 1 Colossus done, second one on the way. Extended Thermal Lance already has +1. The only thing I'm really worried about, Roddy, is how he's going to defend this base that he has. Because, I mean, there are so many high grounds. A Terran pushing through that just feels really hard for the Protoss to deal with.
I think the idea is just never let Coffee get a devastating setup. I love that Widow Mine, by the way, on the high ground. That is going to be able to get a shot off. A couple of extra probes will fall. We have more Widow Mine drops to the bottom side, and well, not the greatest explosions yet. But since the armory is online, these Widow Mines will be permanently cloaked, and you always need protection to clean them up. And this chaos has allowed to get Coffee that setup that you were very concerned about, Dio, for all the right reasons. And the worst thing for Haas is that his Robo's here too, so you can't just give up on this base, but I also don't know how he's gonna save it.
I mean, I guess there are technically 3 attack paths you can wrap around. You can force the army back a little bit. That's a nice Zealot run by. 7 workers will fall, but you're also losing 10 Zealots or so to that because the army is so dang close. And Haas not able to take advantage of that timing when the tanks were exposed. So now this base, I know you said the Robo's there. It's important. This base is gone. You cannot save it. That sieged up position is too powerful. Maybe if Haas had killed the rocks early on, that would have given him an option. But for now, at the very least, Roddy, now he has the high ground. At the very least, it's a little harder for Coffee to push into him.
Yeah, we're gonna get a couple of Archons as well, but I'm just not really feeling this Protoss army very much anymore. We have a couple of force fields going down. The Archons need to soak up as many Terran shots as possible. The Colossus really did its thing, but it's just not going to be enough. And game 1 will go in favor of Coffee. And honestly, perhaps that's a way that we kind of expect Coffee against Has to play out. Has playing a bit weird, Coffee just kind of staying calm, finding some damage, and eventually Great Macro is going to carry Coffee to victory. But that makes me wonder, why on earth is he historically 0-4 against Has? How has he never been able to defeat Has in this matchup?
You know, I took a look at it at 0-4. I'm imagining that those were 4 series that were played a decent amount of time ago, because Coffee right now is very good. Again, you talked about how good he looked last season. Now, again, he lost to Nanami. I think that was the big upset here that we didn't necessarily expect. You're allowed an upset. Swiss allows for that. You do have 3 lives. So, yeah, I don't know. Although, in fairness, Roddy, Haas is one of these players that can beat pretty much anyone. Also lose to anyone, but can beat pretty much anyone on a good day if the build works right.
Yeah, no, that's true. And those games were indeed played like a little over or like around 2 years ago. And I'm sure that hasn't changed a whole lot in these 2 years. I wouldn't say that Has got better or worse. I think he's about as crazy and wild as and unpredictable as he was 2 years ago. But I guess Coffee has really made some good steps, especially in his TVP. I mean, it's a bit of a cliche at this point to always talk about that best of 3 he played against Zaun at IM Katowice, but that was, to me, and I think to a lot of foreign fans, one of the first times that we saw him on a big international stage. We were like, whoa, he didn't just win. He actually looked amazing. Like, he just looked in control, had some really good tank setups. And of course, there was some aggression that came into play, but you can't really blame a Terran for being somewhat aggressive if they are the overwhelming underdog. Somebody's asking who Rotterdam is. And I snuck into the lobby, guys, because I missed the lobby of game 1. So I was just casting up the clean feed. But I did join the lobby of game 2. And the referee was just like, Rotterdam is ? I was like, well, me? Like, I'm sorry. Is it okay if I join the lobby, Mr. Referee?
Imagine
but yeah.
not knowing who Roddy is. Like, couldn't be me. No, you're
amazing.
Although, you know, you talk about Haas has kind of maintained this level and Coffee has been getting a lot better. I think the one wrinkle in that is that a new map pool, and certainly a bigger map pool, 9 maps are harder to practice on than 7. If there's a time where Haas is going to level up and make the playoffs again and make a deep run, it's right now. It's a new patch. It's a new map pool. Haas is one of the few players that we have left that is very much, to use Katz's words, a creative and not necessarily an iterator. He plays a little bit more fluid. He tries to win with his mind as much as his mechanics. And when you have a new map, when you have a big new map pool, a bunch of crazy maps, and you have a new patch, that if there's any time is Haas's time, Roddy, it is right now.
Yeah, you would think that. And I was still a bit surprised to see him go for a Robo Bay, because I kind of thought that if Has is going to take such a weird base that's like half a gold, not totally gold, and we open up with Blink, that's fine. We followed up with Charge. Yeah, I expected that. But then I expect him to go up to 10 gateways, maybe the 8 gateways double forge or 10 gateways with a quick prism, and just go for it, right? Send it. To see Has just kind of take a bunch of weird bases and be like, yeah, now I'm going to take a Robo Bay and I'm going to build a Colossus. I was like, if that's the game plan, why didn't we just take our natural? You know, like, I don't know, that would seem a little bit more logical to me, but I cannot look into the great mind of Has. Let's go ahead and hop into game 2, and I'll let you pronounce the name, because BO, they made fun of us. They said your pronunciation of this map is wrong.
Well, you know what? In the upper right here on Alkione, as I've been told it's pronounced, in the red, he's up a game, looking for qualification to the playoffs. It's Coffee.
According to Wadi and Loco, you're way off.
Well, according to YouTube, I'm right.
I think they go for El Sayoni or something among those lines. But, you know, I like this battle. I will just watch from the sidelines, eat my popcorn, and let you guys battle it out. In the bottom left side of this map, with not 1 but 2 gold bases and a bunch of rich Vespian guys as well. We are looking at the main base of our Taiwanese Protoss. He's down 0-1. If he loses this game, no Has in the playoffs. Let's hope he can prevent that. This is Has. I'll be honest, mate, I'm bummed out to see either of these guys go out this early. Because coming into this season, I really filled these 2 guys in. These were probably 2 of the first 4, no, let's say 5 players that I would have filled in to make it into the playoffs. You start off with Oliveira. This day and age, I absolutely put down Firefly immediately as well. Then I'd go Coffee. Then I'd probably go Nice and Has. I really thought that those two Taiwanese Protoss boys would make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you, Roddy. I mean, again, Haas and Nice in the Taiwanese Hong Kong region were the finalists for like every season we had. They would trade championships back and forth, 7-game series, making everyone who loves PvP really happy because we just saw that happening, bounce back and forth. That is one of the downsides, or maybe one of the upsides, of us having these combined regions. We have Asia now instead of Taiwan, Hong Kong, and SE and OCA and all that. We have Americas instead of Latin America and North America, and that means that it's a little bit harder to win a region. The regions are a little bit less prescribed. Although, even as I say that, we have a reigning world champion in Asia, so Oliver not winning this region would still be a bit of a surprise, even still.
No, absolutely. But it's not all about who wins the entire region, right? You just want to see who makes a good run, who has a surprising performance, who wins a bunch of prize money, and who gives us a reason to get really hyped over for our future StarCraft tournaments, as we do have the offline Atlanta coming up as well. Once more, Coffee is scouting in the early game is good. Has trying to go for a 1-gate fast expand, but not your regular 1-gate fast expand. It is the one near the gold. I think he just recalled a bunch of probes, by the way, towards the gold. So he's going to saturate that immediately. And he has built the robo at the gold base once more. Kind of want to get a shield battery here, by the way. Otherwise, it's going to be so annoying to see a units be attacked. Or you take out that debris, right? Like, don't you want to take out the debris if you're Has?
Yeah.
At least I would.
Or, I mean, also putting this robo on this side of the base as well. It's something you're going to worry about maybe 3 minutes later, but... you siege up tanks right here. That's a dead robo very, very quickly, and the debris is going to go down, but Coffee taking advantage of it for the moment, and KDA charge, so he's not going to get too much more. Now, Roddy, it's going to be a Liberator follow-up. I don't know that this is necessarily the most effective play, because again, it's not like the minerals are in a corner or something.
Well,
Liberators.
I like the idea of multi-prong, though. Liberator in the main, Hellion sneaking into the gold. I actually think it's somewhat brilliant, and the main reason for that is because he already saw the robo. And if a Protoss opens up with the robo, that means a later blink, and that also means no Stargate. And that's where I think Liberators become very difficult to deal with, as we have 3 Hellions just YOLOing into the main base, and the Coffee says, I know you were ready for 1 Hellion in the previous game, but is your shield battery good enough to deal with 3 Hellions at once? The answer is not really. In the end, we drop an overcharge. 6 probes going down this early is definitely painful. And don't forget about that Liberator that once more, I would not use it at the gold. I would send it towards the main. And I think it'd be very, very annoying for us to deal with.
Absolutely. Now, this Hellion, though, is not going to get much done. And so look at this, Roddy. We got 2 Stalkers. We got an Immortal here.
Double gold.
And double gold base. Does Haas know that this isn't a PvP?
I'm sure that he knows that part because he lost a bunch of probes to the Hellions. But besides that, yeah, no, Has is just going all over the place. And this is what we love. This is where Kalaris and Todd lost it once upon a time with a couple of Dark Shrines. Has this going to be a bit aggressive here? Coffee is going to look at this and be like, okay, it's annoying, but not really a whole lot more than that. And the Liberator is now sieging up on the gold. It has turned around. I think at first it was heading towards the main, but after Coffee realized that Has was just moving out and barely has anything defending this gold, you may as well siege it up over here. And I'm just afraid that Has, at the moment, is not finding enough. Hey, maybe with double gold, we saturate 2 gold mineral lines, then we warp in 20 Zealots and we can A-move a Terran? Who knows?
I mean, but it's a bit of a gas problem, Roddy. If you look at it, losing that Sentry is expensive here. He's still building Colossus tech. So, yeah, build a lot of Zealots, sure. But the gas cost has been kind of painful. And again, these gold bases, you only have one refinery. You only have 1 Vespene Geyser per base. So it's going to have to be just pure Charge Lot and those couple Colossus. You're not going to be able to deal with Vikings all that easily because, again, Stalkers are going to start to become very expensive. And I mean, here comes Coffee right now. 3 tanks pulling the SCVs. This is how he lost in Nanami, but somehow I think this is a little bit scarier for Haas.
Yeah, I definitely think it is scary. I believe that Liberator has sieged up again, so it's a bunch of extra workers falling. Has is going to be able to take care of the lip, but that also means that he gave up on that spot, and I love that bunker. Coffee says, bring me the debris. Now, there is a Colossus out, but I don't know how long that Colossus can stay alive against 3 siege tanks. The Warp Prism Micro is kind of cool. The Immortal Target Fire was good, but this Protoss army seems so fragile, and I am afraid that this is going to be the end of Has. Coffee, for the first time in his career, I believe is going to defeat Has, unless Has can pull off an absolute miracle with his final few zealots, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And even if he would somehow clean this up, he has lost so many pros for BL, then I'm afraid Has's journey in the ESL Asia Regionals is going to end here.
I mean, he does have a second gold, but losing all that he has on this base, this Colossus does not seem to be long for this world here. Certainly, I mean, Viking could chase him down, but I guess he's not. And by the way, yes, the game is over, but I love this bunker position. He's in the debris spot. Zero chance that Haas can do much. But now, Coffee, where do you go from here? Haas is not going to tap out just yet. He does not leave games easily. And there's that second goal. Do you attack there, or do you attack the main base? For now, though, the problem is Haas is leading Coffee directly to the other goal. The one reason he might have some joy in this game. And now is the tank siege. Zealots are going to try to get on top, though, and they're going to get there before the tank siege on up. And the Viking, well, it's not getting the Colossus down just yet. So the best possible fight for Haas, actually. It's still rough, and the Warp Prism is... no, don't... No. It's going to get out.
It's going to... Yeah, but I think eventually it's gonna fall because the medevac can boost forward. No, that's gonna be it. The Warp Prism turns around. The Viking, controlled by Tom Cruise, gets the final shots up. Coffee